Question and answer time. Here we go. Grayson Duskwalker. Grayson Duskwalker wants to know, as a maker who generally focuses on the experience of replication of movie props, have you ever created a prop from literature or have plans to? Yes, in fact. Absolutely. The one that comes to mind is a Hellboy prop. I know Hellboy is a movie, but it's also a comic book. And if you're at all a fan of the Hellboy movies, you should know that Mike Mignola and a team of collaborators has been writing Hellboy for Dark Horse Comics for 2+ decades. And there's a phenomenal amount of material to go through. And it's all great. All of it. I love all the BPRD, all the Hellboy comics. So much so that about 10 years or so ago, Tim Arp and I collaborated on some Hellboy props that are not in any Hellboy movie. Tim Arp is known on the forums as Grim Tim. He most famously made the corpse locator amulet that Hellboy uses in Hellboy, and Guillermo bought it from him at a con before he made Hellboy. Tim still remembers Guillermo meeting him and going, "Grim Tim, Grim Tim." But Tim Arp and I were fans of some of the early Hellboy comics, and we made one of the spears. And I can't remember which comic book the spear is from. It might be Seed of Destruction. My knowledge is far from encyclopedic. But what we did was I had access to a foundry, and Tim is a beautiful sculptor. And so he made a master form of this spear point to look rusted and variegated in its texture. And then I had a set of these run in bronze, and I sent a couple to Tim. I think I sent him 3, and I kept 3. This one I gave to Guillermo. This is the third one, and this one is allocated for Mike Mignola. I've just never gotten around to reaching out through mutual contacts to weather this and send it to Mike Mignola. But now that I've mentioned it publicly, I think it's time to get it to him because it's been a while. However, I finished one for myself, and I actually put it on a spear. And here you can see there with some grass blather weathering compounds. I'm really, really pleased with how this looks. It feels like a real old artifact. And I love that there's 6 or 7 of these in the world, and that's it. Yeah. We also made one of the nails. There's a nail with an inscription on it in one of the comic books. But since we did that, criminy, I'm forgetting the name of the company that makes all the beautiful Skeleton Crew. Skeleton Crew released a similar nail that actually looks almost identical to ours. It's very funny. Thank you for that awesome question, Grayson Duskwalker. As far as literature, I love the Alethiometer from his Dark Materials, Golden Compass, and the subsequent books. I haven't read the new one, but I'm dying to. And I've been enjoying the film and the one from the TV series, and they're totally different. I know I'm talking about movie props. I loved that piece when I read it in the books. I read the books about 20 years ago. And I may still make my own Alethiometer. I don't know. I'm getting a 3D printer soon, my first. Yeah, I know. I'm a little late to this game. And maybe an Alethiometer of my own design will be part of one of the things that I do. Let's see here. Joe Needbala wants to know, your father was an animator, he says, and we know that you have a huge love for Hayao Miyazaki, but what sort of animation did you enjoy in your youth? Was it just Bugs Bunny and the usual stuff kids our age watched, or did you get to experience more diverse stuff via your dad? Yeah, I did absolutely get to see more diverse animation because my dad, not only was my dad an animator, and for reference, my dad was one of the first animator by Sesame Street in the late 60s, early 70s to provide animations for the Sesame Street television show. So in the 70s, he raised us by doing 2 or 3 spots every year, probably over 40 or 50 over the full scope of his work with them. But he also had a lot of friends who were animators, and I grew up seeing a lot of their work as well. I saw stop motion animation. I was obsessed with Will Vinton. The most famous thing Will Vinton's shop did is the California Raisins. But oh my God, that is so not at all the full scope of what Will Vinton did. They did some incredible stuff. They did a documentary about Will Vinton that's also in claymation, that includes claymation mold models of Will Vinton, and amazing things. I also, being a child of the 80s, I was in New York. I was living in New York when Spike and Mike's Festival of Animation started coming out. And I would go to that every year and see some unbelievable stuff. The most affecting, I mean, animation to me as a kid, I still remember this being like 71, 72 with a babysitter and scrolling through the channels and seeing, live action, animation, stop right there. Like anytime you saw animation, it was time to stop and watch that thing, no matter what it was. So animation always meant kid stuff. But I think the one that I felt most affected by was Wile E. Coyote. Yeah. I mean, is it any wonder? I basically made a living as Wile E. Coyote. Jamie and I, Carrie, Tori, and Grant, all being Wile E. Coyote for the better part of a decade and a half. That specific show, along with Pink Panther, because both Pink Panther and Wile E. Coyote were true surrealist masterpieces in the most wonderful, deep sense in the world of the word surrealism. Oh, wow. Okay, so something just occurred to me. If you're a fan of comics and the history of comics, I would submit that perhaps one of the greatest comics ever written in the history of comics is Crazy Cat with 2 Ks. Crazy Cat ran in United States papers for 20 or 30 years. I have all of the collections of all the Crazy Cats, and they are also surrealist masterpieces. They follow Ignatz the mouse as he attempts to woo and also harm the love and enemy of his life, Crazy Cat. It's completely indecipherable. Allegiances change frame to frame, genders shift frame to frame, but also the background. Harriman, I think it's George Harriman. Am I right about that? George Harriman, who wrote Crazy Cat, was a big fan of the Southwest, and specifically in the 20s and 30s was super moved by some of the mysticism he encountered traveling in those parts of the American Southwest and some of the Native Americans he met. And I believe that really influenced the way he drew his comics, so that landscapes are all shifting, sometimes in colors and sometimes in actual form behind the main characters. And I'm telling you all this about Crazy Cat because it strikes me that that the level of surrealism in Crazy Cat is very analogous to the kind of surrealism that's in Wile E. Coyote cartoons, which also take place in the grand panoply of the American Southwest. Had never occurred to me until I was talking about that just now. I hope that's some kind of answer to your question, Joni Bala. Let's see.